They weren't even in our schools back then. I went to school in the 50s and 60s. I don't ever remember having a special education student in my classroom. At that time, a special education student was placed in the Dempsey Center here in town, or they were placed in Mansfield, outplaced in any number of institutions, or they were kept home. My gosh, when I started teaching, we still had the segregated classes for what we called trainable mentally retarded and educably mentally retarded. That's how we were taught to teach that population.
Sometimes when children don't respond the same way as their peers, we assume that they can't do it. All kids can be taught to read. About 95% of kids can be taught to read.
Several years ago, we had a couple of intellectually disabled students come over from the elementary school and enter middle school, and I guess we really weren't prepared for them.
Erika and a few other students were basically in a classroom coloring, drawing, and not getting any type of education. I went to parent-teacher conferences and found out that she did not have a teacher. Her teacher had gone out on a medical leave and was not replaced.
I got really upset because they were assigned to the classroom next to me, and I was supposed to oversee what was going on in that classroom. I guess when Mrs. Salvas found out, what was going on, she became rather upset.
She had concerns about her daughter who was in middle school and was not reading. So she went to the Board of Education, and she maintained that she felt that her child never had the opportunity to learn how to read because she'd never been taught.
We had to contact a state advocate, and she met with us several times before coming to the school system with us to find out what the school system was going to do for us and try to help resolve the issue. At that point, we still were not getting anywhere, and we ended up writing a letter to the Department of Education.
It's difficult. Kids come in to school having a vast variety of handicaps and disabilities, and it's really difficult for a teacher to provide that support throughout a classroom setting.
They really weren't getting the education they needed at the time. We weren't doing what was right for those kids.
After that, things started they finally filled the position, the special ed position. Eastern Connecticut was contacted through our state advocate, Ann Tatro, and that's how Dr. Maureen Ruby got involved.
And so I met with the teacher, and I think that she would be quite open with you. She really was not an expert by any means on phonological awareness and beginning reading.
But there was never any emphasis when I was going to school on teaching these students to read. So consequently, we weren't trained.
She was absolutely turned on by having the tools in her teaching toolbox that had been missing. And she was like a kid in a candy store with the materials and the training that we brought in.
The actions that we took were, I think, appropriate to establish Erika's program, and not only Erika's, but some of the other children that are up and coming behind her.
These children, even though they were 10, 11, 12, 13 years old and couldn't read, needed to have the same basic instruction that a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old has when they don't have phonemic awareness.
When Evan first came to middle school, he was pretty much a non-reader and really had no idea of the sounds that were associated with these letters.
I honestly did think that he could learn to read from a very early age. His finally moving on to the middle school and being assigned to Fran Bosquet, that was a lifesaver.
What letter?
The children who have difficulty learning really need a lot more intensive, frequent, and direct instruction.
We're lucky enough to be working with a national expert in reading, Dr. Maureen Ruby from Eastern, who has provided us guidance for reading instruction.
She kind of introduced me to a program called Road to the Code.
They have to get that basic phonological awareness and what we call phonemic awareness. A phoneme is the smallest unit of sound.
So it's that kind of a program to get them to start hearing sounds in words as a prelude to beginning to decode words.
Say this word, rat.
Rat. Rat.
How many sounds?
Rat.
How many sounds?
3.
3 sounds. Watch me do it. Rat. At. Rat.
Rat.
Okay? Can you do it that way? Rat.
Rat.
Very nice. How many sounds?
3.
3. You did a good job. I heard that T nice and clear at the end. I like when you find out they can do it, it's so exciting. It really is, because then it's like the floodgates open and they just want to learn more. They're like little sponges almost. It's not a life skills class. You know, we've gone away from the old concept of life skills. The biggest part of our day has an academic focus.
When we provide the teachers with the tools that they need to deconstruct a lesson and then be able to differentiate the instruction they get, that's our goal.
The program is both inclusive in the classroom, and it's also providing programming in Mrs. Busquets' class in a very, very small, structured environment.
Very good. That's a good job. How many sounds?
Part of the day, her kids go into the larger classes and work with regular ed teachers and alongside of regular ed students.
Because it's kind of neat to see them go down the hall now and high five this one, or hey that one, or go to dances. But to watch Evan go on Google, and if he wants to, you know, he likes to look up Venom from Spider-Man. He likes to look up werewolves. He likes to, and he will actually go and type in the address, and he can, you know, surf the web. This has opened up a whole lot of stuff to Evan that I think wouldn't have been available to him if he didn't have some of this reading background. I've always felt that these students need to be pushed, that they can do more than we expect them to do. There are down students out there who have been pushed, who have gone on to hold down very successful jobs.